So, you know, this was obvious really from the start. You go back even before this contest started, when Boris Johnson first started having his troubles. The top two contenders to be in this leadership race were always Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss. And even then, when it was polled, you know, who if it came to this and it was, Liz Truss, Rishi Sunak, who do you want? Liz Truss was winning by a country mile. And I've said this numerous times, and people are surprised, but it's been confirmed in poll after poll after poll after poll. She is somehow ridiculously popular in the Tory party. And I don't know how she's managed to achieve it, but I think it's because she is just willing to be such a political chameleon that she is willing to commit to whatever favorable position she can. She is known to try and get as much and as favorable press coverage for her as possible. But like Boris Johnson, who was hoping that when he got into the limelight, he would be able to, just hog it all and hog all the glory, turned out not to be the case, because as prime minister, you have to take responsibility for a lot of this. And the big thing is, I think, like Johnson, Truss will find it the same way. Yeah, she'll be able to have some good news headlines, but eventually those headlines don't last. And I think the honeymoon period for Liz Truss is going to be over very, very quickly. Because as I've said before, there's a lot of stuff, including the energy crisis. This all comes to a head, and the Tories at the moment are in complete disarray. With the fact that it is obvious that Liz Truss is going to win, she still not has laid out her plans, even though she says that within the first 30 days, she's got this mega plan that she's going to do. What are Liz Truss's plans to actually help with the cost of living crisis and the energy crisis? Two things that in November are just going to make her completely implode. So, as always, before we do get into the article, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a rotation link called Buy Me Coffee. We can, buy me a coffee, or you can use the YouTube thank you button down below as well. And of course, there is the YouTube subscription thing we have as well called the Pony Club, where you can join that as well. And you get sort of badges and emojis when we are live streaming on YouTube, and that you can use on the channel as well. So over we go to The Guardian with their story on this. That's title is Tories in Disarray, and they absolutely are in disarray. The Tories in disarray over energy crisis as Truss urged to spell out plans to help. The Conservatives were in disarray over their response to the energy crisis on Friday, with some Tory MPs backing Liz Truss showing signs of jitters over her refusal to spell out how she would help households. And the truth is, they don't want to. They don't want to offer any help. That's the first thing. The Tories are, if anything, incredibly reluctant to actually offer any help whatsoever. And it's not just households, but it's also businesses, schools, NHS. There's going to be lots of stuff that needs desperate help this winter, and they aren't interested in giving it. Trust me, when we get headlines, and we will get headlines of, children having to sort of be sent, in lessons, having to, and we will get the pictures of the children having to wear the big woolly hats and the big coats, wrapped up warm in all types of stuff in classes, wearing gloves. That's not going to be a good look for Truss. And it's going to be her responsibility that has happened, because they haven't offered any help to schools. So anyway, it continues. So the front runner to be prime minister in just over a week's time said she would ensure people get the support they needed to get through these tough times, but had no new suggestions about how or how much and who would get assistance, with the average energy bill set to hit over £3,000 from October. One Conservative MP supporting Truss said that they wanted to see more and hoped that the Ofgem announcement would help sharpen thinking, at least in her camp, and the expressing the frustration that her campaign had not relentlessly focused on what to do about energy bills. And that's quite shocked me as well, that even though we knew this was coming, but this is classic Tory party, they're obsessed with short-termism. So even in this leadership contest, these energy prices, the energy bills, cost of living, barely has come up, even as a focus. It's barely come up. It has been mentioned for sure, but it has not become the prime topic of which in a couple of months it is about to be, all the rage during the winter. So another Tory MP who switched to Truss from another candidate said they felt disappointed with the lack of focus on what matters to people and acknowledged that they had mostly backed her because she looked likely to win. And everyone wants to back a winner, right? A third Truss supporter, Chris Skidmore, wrote an article saying the UK needed to be weaned off gas, despite his favourite candidate backing more North Sea gas and having called overnight for fracking to be exploited in the UK. Anyone suggesting that our dependence on gas isn't the problem or that the solution is more gas is gaslighting you, he wrote for Politics Home. Another Ofgem announcement that the price cap would rise by 80% from October. Truss set out a statement saying that her help would be forthcoming, but gave no further details, and her spokesperson said that there would be, quote, nothing more for the rest of the day. You can see the amount of help that Liz Truss is going to give here. She's going to be Prime Minister in less than 2 weeks. And there's a lot of Conservative MPs who are backing her, expecting her to have this plan. But it's not there. It's not there. It never was there. She's the right-wing candidate. They don't want to do this. They want to offer as little help as they can. Of course, back to it. And of course, with little new from the Truss team, Boris Johnson set out his view that his successor would, quote, plainly have to act. So even Boris Johnson is just going, well, I'm not doing anything. I'm only Prime Minister. What can I do to help? So would plainly have to act without capping prices for the very richest. While Nadeem Zahawi, the Chancellor, said that the reality was that we should look at our energy consumption. The Chancellor assured the public that more help was on the way, and he was doing the work to make sure that this would be in place throughout the next year. Zahawi's comments on the cutting consumption put him at odds, of course, with the official government position set up by Keir Starmer, the business secretary and Truss's very likely next Chancellor. There is no need for people to reduce their energy use, and Number 10 has said, and said that the energy use is a matter for individual choice. Senior Tories are very worried about the idea of asking people to use less energy and could be viewed as a form of rationing. But officials have already drawn up plans for the next government to actually consider asking the public to voluntarily use less. Despite the uncertainty over the plans of the next Prime Minister, Johnson told broadcasters on Friday that the cash handouts were, quote, clearly going to be augmented, increased, and extra cash that the government is plainly going to be announced in September. Again, contradicting what Liz Truss has been saying about wanting to hand out extra cash. But he also said energy bills should not be subsidized for everyone. What I don't think we should be doing is capping things for absolutely everyone. The richest households in the country, he said. This is going on for a few months. It will go over the winter, he added. It will be tough, and I'll be very clear about that. But in the end, we are also putting in measures that we need to ensure that we have the energy independence to get through this. The government was then accused of being missing in action by the Labour leader Keir Starmer, and they exactly have been. We have a rudderless government because Boris Johnson has given up on governing completely. He said, "You've got a Prime Minister who insisted on staying in office. He recognises the problem with energy prices and then shrugs his shoulders and does nothing about it. You've got two leadership candidates who are fighting with each other about how appalling they have been in government, but neither has actually come up with any plan to actually deal with this problem. It's unforgivable." Truss has repeatedly been criticised by a leadership rival, Rishi Sunak, for economic plans he said would actually worsen the pain felt by those already living in fuel poverty and others who would be pushed into it. The former Chancellor said that the pensioners would be the most vulnerable and would be and he would be supported if he became the next Prime Minister. I want them to have the certainty that extra help is coming, he said. Truss's plans, which have said been amounted to borrowing over tens of billions of pounds for unfunded tax cuts, don't actually do anything to help the people most in need, risking more inflation and worse, putting our nation's finances at risk as well, he added. Truss has limited her announcements about supporting to tax cuts, including reversing the national insurance rise and temporarily suspending the green levies on energy bills. So this is the disaster that is about to be Prime Minister. She's not going to last long. I think I've said this before. Liz Truss doesn't last longer than 6 to 12 months. I think that is very possible. I think as soon as she gets in, I think a lot of Tory MPs are going to realise just about the mistake they've made. We've already seen a lot with the article we covered on Friday in Conservative Home, basically saying, oh my God, we're about to elect Liz Truss as Prime Minister. What's going on? Why have we got here? Guys, this is your fault. You've been in power for over 12 years. You've enabled people like Liz Truss to rise to the top of these positions when they shouldn't have been allowed anywhere near the positions of power. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. Brexit. And it was the far right in the party who have taken over, who have pushed their agenda since, going all the way back to when Article 16 got triggered. Not Article 16, Article 50 got triggered. You may remember, as soon as that happened, Theresa May came in and they came out fighting. We've got to trigger Article 50 now. We've got to trigger it now. We've got to do it now. We must do it now. We can't wait. It's now, now, now. And they forced that through. And ever since then, we've had, the complete disaster and the derision during the May years, which potentially could erupt again during Liz Truss's time in Parliament, because we've got more Brexit problems coming down the line. We've got the Article Protocol coming. We've got the cost of living crisis. We've got inflation. We've got rising food prices, the NHS. There's going to be massive problems in schools, not only just with a teacher shortage. We've got a ton of strikes coming down the pipeline as well. They have no answer to any of this. And the fact that they've allowed people like Truss to get here shows you that the Conservative Party just cannot be trusted with the government ever again. Ever again. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And yep, down below, like I say, there are links to my Patreon page, my one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.